Hey, this is Brett from Mud Run Guide. I'm here with Michael Lunardelli, but he's known as Lunar. So, Lunar, good morning. Great to talk with you. We had a little bit of technology fun here offline working with Skype. So, we've. I'm really looking forward to getting your insight into this new Spartan shoe.
Yeah.
Let's start with start with good morning, I guess.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, Brad. Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you. We talked a little bit offline about the background in shoes and products. Tell me a little bit about when you came on with Spartan, how you got here, and how this shoe exists.
Yeah. I had interacted with Joe about a little over maybe 2 years ago when Joe had a deal with my former company, which is over Reebok. But yeah, Joe and I had connected then, and I was looking for a new challenge, and we connected. And Joe was like, "Hey, come over and help me build my merchandise empire." And I said, "Absolutely." And it was funny because I knew the COO, Jeff Connor, and I were friends from way back. And I didn't even know he was over at Spartan. So when I saw that Jeff was there, I was like, all right, this feels like home. And I jumped aboard last March, and I've been here a little over a year, and it's been phenomenal. I absolutely loving it with these guys.
So the timing of last March. Tell me a little bit about it. So when we were talking offline, I didn't know that Kraft had any shoe products.
Yeah. So when I came on last March, Spartan and Kraft had just inked the Kraft Spartan deal, the partnership. And so I was really trying to get up to speed on who Kraft was. And I knew them a little bit more from like Olympic sports, like cross country skiing and some of the places I had seen them there. But I knew them more of it as an apparel brand. So when we started to talk and think about what products did we really have to own, in this space, if we're going to be in the world of OCR and Spartan especially, right? What do we got to own? And one of the first things that we started talking about first week here was shoes. How do we own the category of shoes? How do we get after this in a bigger way? And so, yeah, the Kraft was looking to get into shoes, get into the footwear side of the business. They had already started to work on running shoes, and they released those running shoes, inline running shoes last, say, summer, early fall. But it was with us that they really wanted to figure out, how do we do this trail thing? How do we get after the OCR side of the business? How do we get after hardcore trail runners? And that's where we came in.
Well, and I'm looking at the shoe. This is a pretty aggressive. I don't know if you have one there. I'm looking at all the photos I have, but this is an aggressive model. You didn't just take the easy path. I'm looking at looking at the drainage, looking at the rope climbing, looking at
Right.
multiple different types of rubber for the sole and the cleats. What was the R&D like for this RD?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So we started working with a guy that Kraft had brought over from, one of the bigger, U.S. companies from Nike. And he's kind of hit the ground running, literally hit the ground running on the shoe category. And so the first thing we were trying to do is just figure out, like, what kind of terrain do people encounter when they do a Spartan race or an OCR race that's different from like a typical trail shoe? Like, what things do you do that are going to be a little bit over and above? And so the first thing, you think about slip walls, and you think about rope climbs, and you think about having to run through water and then come out of water. You're running across rocks. Pretty much any terrain you're going to encounter in a Spartan race, right? So we had to figure out the first thing we wanted to do more than anything else, I think, was build a shoe that was durable, that was going to be able to survive anything. Because one of the things we noticed is that when people finish their Spartan races, they throw their shoes away. The shoes just get beat to what, and they're tossing them out.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't want that. We want people to have a shoe. That's not fair to them. We want people to have a shoe that, they can wear, they can beat up, they can do a beast, or they can do a super, or they can do one of our ultra races. They can go home, they can clean it off, they can throw it in the washing machine, put it in the dryer, or put it, on the front steps to dry out, and run with it again, the next day. And that was where we started with this.
Well,
but on top of that, the shoe has to perform, more than anything else. You got to get over those obstacles, and we needed a shoe that would be able to get through pretty much anything.
Now that was something that Jonathan sent me an email this morning. He said, "Hey, I really want to make sure we cover the warranty." Can you tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about that? I thought that was pretty
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean it's great. It's we have a video that's up on the site. We just launched this morning, by the way, 8 a.m. Eastern time. We went live. We sent out an email to a lot of our Spartan racers about half an hour ago, and everything's lighting up right now, which is great. It's kind of an exciting moment, you know. I'm seeing like 1,000 people plus are on our website, like just like that. I was like, oh, this is great. So anyway, yeah, I mean, when when we started this thing, we didn't know what was how this was gonna, play out, how
Right.
long it was going to take to get there. It took us a little while to make this thing perfect, but we're in a spot now where we're really excited about the shoe. But we wanted to make sure that we tested it so that like it's going to live up to what we say it's going to be.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did is said, hey, who would we go to if we had to beat the living crap out of this shoe? Who would we call? Well, that guy's living in our building. It's Joe DeSena, right? So we said, Joe, beat this shoe up. And he said, yeah, I'll beat this shoe up. And, Joe's one of the greatest endurance racers of all time, and a little bit crazy in a good way. And so Joe took the shoe and he started putting it to test. If you go on our site and you go into some of the product detail pages of the actual shoes, go down to the bottom, there's a video there. We're still working on the video, but it'll show you what he literally put the shoe from. It's no joke. Like he literally ran it over with an excavator, with a Jeep, dragged it behind his car, threw it in the ocean overnight. Ran 50 miles in it, gave it to another runner, Isaiah, to run, 50 miles on some of the toughest trails in New England. They've done everything to it. He put it on top of fire. He's climbed ropes. He's actually did, a couple of Spartan races in it, and the shoe's still ticking big time. So we felt like the first thing was we've got a shoe that is really super durable. Like I don't want to say indestructible, but pretty close to indestructible. That's the way we think of it. And so when I was talking to Joe, he goes, hey, people aren't going to believe it when we say it's indestructible. So why don't we guarantee it? And I was like, I think it's a great idea. We had to try to figure out what might this cost us, if we do get some returns. But in the end, we said, hey, it's worth it because we really believe in the shoe. We believe in it all the way. So let's do it.
I don't know of another shoe.
Yeah, 1-year warranty out there. If you damage it or destroy it, you can bring it back. We'll give you a new pair for free.
That's pretty crazy. I don't know of another shoe manufacturer that says that, especially given the wear and tear that a lot of these shoes will take in a year.
Yeah, it's one thing to do that for like a road shoe or to do it for maybe just a standard trail shoe, right? But when you're doing it for an OCR shoe, knowing what people are going to put it through, it's going in the water, right? It's going up the rope. It's going over the slip walls. It's going under barbed wire, right? Then it's going to get beat up no matter what, bad. And it's going to come out muddy, dirty, and hopefully, in one piece. And so we've got a shoe that I think is going to come out in one piece without any doubt.
Well, sweet. Well, so it's on sale right now. It's available in the Spartan shop.
Correct.
Do I even have that? I don't have. Oh, there's a couple of different colorways that I didn't notice. Oh, that black. That black and red one's pretty nice.
Yeah, we've got 3 colors for men and we got 3 for women. We've got a blaze, which is like a blue. We kind of think of it like our races on the men's side. We're thinking we've got the blue for a super race. We've got the black red. The red signifies like the sprint.
Yeah.
And we've got a trifecta shoe where the outsole is colored against our trifecta if you do the trifecta.
I'm looking at that.
So,
that's
yeah,
pretty...
on the women's side, we wanted to get a little bit more fashionable. So we did this snap yellow color with the gray. Which I think came out really good. And then we did a monument gray with hot pink, little pops.
Yeah.
And then we also did the trifecta. And then we will have more colors coming out in the fall. So there's still more to come.
Now, speaking of, looking through at all the different colors, there's some hot shoes. Speaking of, so these are just colorways. There's just one model right now, currently, right? You're not
correct. Just one model, right? Right now, we're working off the one model. We wanted to make sure that we got the one model right, that we tested all the way through. And the one thing I didn't mention before is, Joe tested it, but what we did early on, this goes back to Tahoe at our World Championships last year, we put the shoe on 3 or 4 of our elite pros and said, go run with this. Tell us how it does.
Yeah.
And so they did some of their training in it, and a couple of them actually did the race in it, and it held up. It held up, and then some. They all were coming back kind of raving about the shoe, saying that it was already, ahead of some other shoes that they tend to wear. And so we were happily surprised by that. And we continued to work on it, though. We took some of the comments that they gave us We got them to Kraft, and then Kraft went back and worked on those improvements that needed to be done. So we've been crafting the shoe, if you will, since Tahoe of last year, trying to get it like perfect.
Yeah.
And we're finally there. I mean, it really took literally up until about 2 months ago to like make the final tweaks on it, and then we went into production. So production's finished. Shoes are shipping now. We don't actually have the shoes in our warehouse, so we're pre-selling right now on our shop site.
When do you expect to start delivering?
Yeah, I'd say probably early to mid-June. We'll say like by 6/15 at the latest. We will actually have some shoes, though, that we're airing in. We've got about 2,000 pair that we're airing in to get to our first races on 6/1. So we have 3 races that weekend in Chicago, Fayetteville, and Monterey. And so the shoes will show up at all 3 of those races for sale to racers there. So
awesome.
in all colorways. So we're pretty excited.
Well, good stuff. Well, what's the price point?
Yeah, price point is $140, which is right in line with the top shoes in this category in the class. So feel good about the price.
Yeah, and a shoe that's guaranteed to last for a year. That's pretty impressive. The one thing that I'm not seeing on here is maybe I am, and I have to drill deeper. Weight. What do we have for weight on these guys?
Yeah, so we get into some of the spec details. Let me just pop in here and see.
Oh, sorry.
Can you find it?
For asking a question like that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. So, basically the shoe, and I'll start with like the drop. The drop, it's got a 7mm drop on the men's and then a 6.5 on the women's.
Okay.
So that's your drop that you're dealing with. The upper is made of a nylon mesh. It's got a KPU cage. The bottom, of course, is EVA rubber. But that mesh is different. How we did it. It's a one-piece mesh. It's one piece, and it's not bonded in like most shoes get bonded in. So you end up creating a seam. And it's at those seams that the shoes fail. Usually the shoes fail around the drainage ports because you got a lot of water coming through there. There's a lot of pressure in that spot. And you've got this seam that's bonded, and eventually that glue gives. That's one of the places where we see the shoes fail. So that's not done this way. This is a one-piece mesh that's kind of folded under and wrapped, and then the other components are put over the top of it. So there's no seam for it to rip in.
Okay. So I can see with the TPU welding, you've got quite a lot of protection on the toe box there as well.
Exactly. There's a ton of protection on the toe box. And then we've got that cage itself gives a lot more stability to the shoe. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we also have got some extra layering in the midfoot with that and in the heel. So it's working out pretty good. People think it's giving a good ride. It also has an arc foam inside that's giving it just a really smooth transition, and it gives you more energy in the toe off. But just to get back to your question on the weight, the men's weight, I wanted to make sure I got it right, is 295 grams approximately, depending on the size, obviously. And the women's is approximately 245 grams. So decent weight on the shoe. Yeah. Not the lightest shoe, but definitely not the heaviest shoe at all by any means. It's got extra pieces to it to make it more durable too.
Well, you definitely know that you're usually sacrificing some durability with weight, and I think that we've seen I've spent a decent amount of time in the Reebok, the previous Reebok shoe, and found that it wasn't. What's the best way to put it? The ground feel was there, but the ground feel was a little bit too much. There was no protection whatsoever on your feet. It looks like we've got a 21 millimeter stack height to it. Looks like it keeps you off the ground a little bit, but it looks like it protects, drains well. I'm kind of excited to get my feet into them pretty
yeah,
soon.
We got to get you a pair. I'm going to definitely get you a pair quick as I can. One of the other things was the lug system on the bottom. The way we did it is we did the lugs at different angles. Yep. Want to make sure we don't get any particles or rocks, caught or trapped in there. But also, when you do an OCR, you're hitting things at every angle possible and a lot of unique terrain. And a lot of different materials that you're up against. So we did the lugs in a way where they're kind of contrasting and moving in different directions to be able to, kind of handle any kind of surface that you're going to come across. So
yeah, I definitely
we feel good about it. The shoe feels good when you're running, and it really does. It feels comfortable. I actually wear it to work. I've been wearing it to work, and just because I love the fit of it, the feel of it is comfortable. Yeah. But then I can go do some hardcore trail running too.
Yeah, look, I like the reverse. You got the chevron on there, but you've got the perimeter is lined with treads. Looks like what's the type of material for the rope protection? That looks pretty sturdy. Is it the same?
Yeah, so same thing. It's really so that's that EVA rubber that's coming off the bottom of the shoe,
Yeah.
and what we did is we wrapped it around that inside, or I should say the outside
Yeah.
of the outsole as it comes up into the midsole there into the midfoot. So
Yeah.
what that is that there's smaller lugs. They're not lugs like you have in the bottom, but
Sure.
they're these smaller lugs to more grip the rope. So we actually have a rope grip on this shoe. Now today, right now, it's on one side of the shoe. We plan long term to go and put it on both sides of the shoe.
Okay.
Because sometimes some people were noticing they wrap the rope
Sure.
differently. Some people use the outside, most use the outside, some use the inside.
Yep.
We want to make sure we cover both sides. But the fact that we've thought it all the way through to have a rope grip on the shoe is pretty good in it, and it ties into OCR a lot better, right?
Sure, and I'm sure it's something that can be used for training as well as racing. Well, yeah, Lunar, it looks pretty awesome. Congratulations! Welcome to the world of Spartan. You've been there for a year. It's awesome to finally get to meet you. I'm sure people that are watching this video are looking over your shoulder and going, "I'll take one of those. I'll take one."
I don't even know what I have over there. I didn't even look. But yeah, we actually probably shouldn't have had those up there. We got a lot of secret stuff over there. Don't look. Next year's stuff. Next year's stuff.
Teasing is never a bad thing. But Lunar,
It's true.
awesome to meet you. Look forward to talking to you a lot more in the future. Great stuff. I can't wait to try the shoe out. We're going to be testing it as soon as we can and getting that up on Mud Run Guide.
Awesome, Brad. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me
Thanks,
on.
man. I really enjoyed talking to you. Take care.
You too, man.
Bye.
Thank you.